why'd you decide to give an hour?
Just that time of camp, you know, just I mean, the consideration is, do you want to practice that's fast and crisp, where you're getting full speed, or do you want one where they're trying to push through and going to drag at some point? So we went with the fast one. So it went good, and then back out tomorrow. So.
What's kind of the long-term vision for Nick Begg?
You know, he's one of those body types that, that those guys show up and they always end up playing somewhere, guys that are built like him, you know, tall, broad shoulders, and I think he needs to just get in shape and lift, and then those guys have a funny way of either turning into a tight end or a D end or an outside linebacker, so, and then they're great on special teams. So we're excited to have him. We're kind of curious what the future holds as far as where he ends up. You know, I think he probably needs another offseason, stuff like that. But those guys that are as tall as him, run as well as he does, long arms, they have a funny way of always finding a place. You know,
he's already worked out with the offensive linemen and the inside receivers. Could you see him working out even somewhere else in another offseason?
I think. I think in the end. Probably tight end, D end, or outside linebacker is probably where he'll end up. I don't know which one, but we've got to get him, stronger and faster. Which that's just going to happen. You know, I mean, he's in good shape. He does a good job, and a lot of enthusiasm, and good to have out.
You've had a chance to see Bender throw a little more now in your practices. How's he playing so far?
He's doing good, and has picked up. The offense, I guess, quicker than expected, because he was able to be productive really the first day. But, still working to get it to where it's automatic. He goes out there and throws, and, sometimes he'll miss one, or sometimes he'll think about it too long. But the ball comes off his hand really well, and he's a real accurate guy.
What's his footwork like compared to most freshman quarterbacks?
Better than most of them. I'd have to look more closely. Could probably give anybody on the team a run for their money at that.
Is that something you're born with, or is that good high school coaching?
All of it. He's got quick feet though, so, and gets rid of the ball quick. But always did a good job of setting up for it.
Do you guys take any looks at Rutgers before that first week, or and if so, when does that process start?
We'll look at them. We'll start looking at them probably the week before the first week.
Do you show them some film during the summer?
No, not really. Just with more look and scheme related, rather than them specifically. We'll have plenty of time to prepare for that. Obviously, they're our first game, and after that we got a second game. So so we develop our skills and work all the looks that we're going to see from kind of the variety of teams we'll play all season.
Coach, this is Bill Moose said that there's not any future Seattle games in the foreseeable future. Talk about how the team sees that going to Quest Field. Is that something that's big? Would you rather have that game in Pullman, or?
Well, I think it's a good experience to go to Quest Field. It's a really nice stadium, and then also our fans in Seattle. Of course, players and coaches like playing at home. And Martin Stadium's a heck of a place. That's a great environment. It's our environment, so I guess that's probably our favorite.
The NCAA board of directors took a pretty big step yesterday towards providing autonomy for the Big Five conferences. Is that something you've given a lot of thought to, or do you think that's the correct decision?
I think it probably is. I think it's probably overdue. I think that, because I think the NCAA, the thing is evolved to the point where it's difficult to meet the needs of all the people that they're asked to meet the needs of. You have, anything from, just the difference between, say, you got D3, you got all the different divisions, then you got all the different men's and women's sports, and then kind of the magnitude of Division I football, and the ability to match and address all those needs out of one office is pretty tough. And I think that for quite some time we've been asking an awful lot of the NCAA. and I mean, obviously there has to be a governing body. I mean, there has to be accountability. There has to be rules. There has to be, if you break the rules, this happens. You know, they'll have to set that up. But you know, but I think that if it's done right, it's like you know, most political things that involve committees. I mean, you kind of keep an eye on it. But if it's done right, I think it can be really well tailored to football and just kind of make it clear cut, less bureaucratic, and for the whole sport, you know.
Have you gotten a sense from your peers that coach at schools in smaller conferences that they're going to be resistant to a change?
I don't know that they are. You know, if you're a Division III school, Division II school, you know, I mean, because even when I coached in Division II, there was always a certain variance. Our rules were different than their rules. NCAA's enforcing our rules with us, their rules with them, and you know, and it did end up kind of convoluted. I mean, I could see where it could provide clarity, and in the end, everybody gets a better product, you know. And even then, I mean, even now with those guys cutting off, I mean, it's still a massive deal. I mean, you know, you take just I mean, just think of the diversity of the variety of sports that exist. You know, you got women's field hockey in Division III, say, and then you got you know, a major college football program. I mean, both important, but you're asking the same entity to not just manage those extremes, but also a whole bunch of stuff in the middle, and it's pretty hard. And I have thought this, and they used to say it on the radio, and I've had some of the frustrations that other people have had with the NCAA and things like that, but also, you know, as we'd have the discussion looking at it, I mean, what are they supposed to do? How are they going to do it? I mean, how do you fix it? And then, you know, you got the different divisions and the different sports saying we need a rule for this, we need a rule for this, and the bigger ones saying we need a rule for this, we need a rule for that. Now you run it. Well, that's pretty tough, you know.
Back to practice.
We've been asking a lot of them.
Back to practice stuff. I mean, the 11-on-11 ended in a tiebreak, and then you had to do that extra play. Was this the most consistency you saw from both sides?
Not necessarily. There was a good competitive period. I thought it was a little erratic today. I mean, it was contested. Everybody played hard. Everybody worked real hard and fought hard. I thought, you know, we did have some inconsistencies, but to iron out. But I thought the best thing is we've had good work, and it's been well contested.
And then a guy who's not really on the first or second teams, but what have you seen from Squally Canada?
It looks good. You know, just got to get him taught, you know, what we're doing and all the rest. Each time I see him, he gets bigger, fast, runs real hard. Pretty strong guy.
And what's the intent on putting him on special teams?
See what he can do. Got to see what he can do.
Coach, Chris Peterson drew a little bit of criticism because he said that he only wants to see Power 5 conference teams play Power 5 conference teams. Obviously, with his pass at Boise State, do you agree with that?
No, not necessarily. You know, I think that, you know, when it comes to playing, I mean, there's room to play other folks. And then, you know, now that this has happened, you know, I don't think the dust has settled on some of the reorganization necessarily. I don't know what direction it'll go or how it'll go. I don't think it's entirely over yet. You know, I don't have a problem with, you know, the variety of playing other people. I think is interesting too. You know.
You mentioned a little while earlier that every team, every coach has their own specific ideas of what they'd like the NCAA to do. In your ideal world, how would athletes be treated by the NCAA, and how would schools be treated by the NCAA?
Well, it's pretty tough to answer in a sentence, but I mean, I'd like to see players get more. Certainly, cost of attendance, but they're all. I think all the schools have to be the same. You know, everything, because if we let this thing evolve into a bidding war, everybody will regret that. And then, you know, so And then the other thing is, I don't think we need to lose sight of the fact that they're student athletes. The day we lose sight of the fact that they're student athletes is the day that when you break your leg, you need to go have a pre-med student take care of it, because he probably won't charge you as much as an actual doctor.
Sure.
So. Yeah.
Mike, we're probably all doing the obligatory senior quarterback feature. I've got to turn one in early on Kamara. Could you just give me a quick summation of how you've seen him physically and mentally evolve since your first year?
He finally weighs more than me. I think just his leadership as far as the group led to a very productive offseason. He kind of led the charge and pushed that. And clearly they worked hard all summer and through all summer. And I think he was kind of the driving force behind a lot of that for the offensive side. And I think his leadership is probably the biggest contribution. But then, he's gotten a little more polished also.
What was your impression of Connor when you first took the job?
Talented. I thought he was he was just coming off that injury, so I didn't get to see him immediately right away. Thought he was talented, needed to get bigger in the weight room. Thought he needed to focus more. And he's pretty much steadily done all that.
What do you see from his quickness with the extra weight?
Well, he's gotten quicker too. I think he's quicker now than he ever has been. And he's more quick than fast, but he does have good quick feet, and can reset his feet to throw the ball, pretty quick, and just naturally has a pretty live arm.
Guys, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
It looks like you lost